Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vinyl Brotherhood. It's good to be with you again. You may have noticed a while ago we shared a video documenting a trip to Japan that we took, Tokyo to be specific. It was an amazing time. It was so cool to experience those sights and sounds and that culture firsthand. But part of what inspired that trip in the first place was a growing interest that I've had in Japanese music. There is such a rich and beautiful history there, so much great music, but obviously here in the West we might not have that same level of exposure to it. So while I'm not an authority on the subject by any means, what I want to do today is share some of that music with you. I have a little collection here. We're going to dive right into it, maybe inspire you to check out some of it for yourself. So get comfortable. We're going to get started here momentarily. All right, let's kick things off with Stardust in Blue. This mini album collaboration by Gaida and Lamp was something that I was thrilled to see happen. A few years back, the members of the pop idol group that Gaida belonged to went their separate ways to focus on solo material, and I think Gaida's work in particular was really intriguing and succeeded in showing the world a different side of the singer. With fresh new indie pop experience under her belt, she provided the vocals for Lamp's Stardust in Blue. Her delicate vocal style works surprisingly well with Lamp's colorful brand of jazzy city pop. The instrumentals are as delectable as one would expect from Lamp. So if a vibrant blend of shibuyake, bossa nova, jazz, soul, and classic pop sounds like your cup of tea, then you really need to check this out. And also, Lamp's albums are typically out of my price range and difficult to come across, but not this one, so I'm grateful to have at least a small piece of Lamp history in my collection. Stardust in Blue is a brief but fun and satisfying listen that I am happy to recommend. The Pen Friend Club is a band that I got into via my Beach Boys fandom. They do a pretty good job of emulating the sounds of 60s Western pop music and even have a handful of covers that of the legendary acts of the day, including the Beach Boys, the Ronettes, and so on and so forth. This, however, is an album of entirely original material. It's their self-titled 8th album, and let me just say, I really like this cover art. They're debuting a new logo and moving on from their take on the Pet Sounds Cooper Black type, which is a fitting gesture. Almost entirely in English, the melodious new songs demonstrate the band sort of pushing past the limits of the 60s and 70s pop. For example, the song Our Overture is not something I would have expected from them at the time, with a newfound earnestness and a driving rhythm section. Of course, they still are willing to indulge in their bread and butter with their throwback pop songs like Mind Connection and my personal favorite, My New Melodies. Very tuneful, tons of harmony throughout, massive instrumentals, plenty of charm. It's their most ambitious work to date and certainly feels like the culmination of a decade's worth of experience. Here's Keiichi Sokabe. Sokabe is known for being a member of the 90s alternative rock band Sunny Day Service. They have some really great material, but Sokabe-san has also given the world several notable musical experiences just on his own. Reissued and remastered somewhat recently, his 2002 self-titled debut has surely stood the test of time. If you're looking for some laid-back, mellow pop rock, then this album should do the trick for you. While maintaining that melodic and easygoing tone, there is still a generous variety of sounds to enjoy here. The production has a natural and intimate studio feel to it, which I find refreshing once in a while. You should check it out. Speaking of legends from the 90s, the Shintaro Sakamoto is another artist who cemented his legacy with the group before venturing out on his own. He was a member of the psychedelic rock group act Yura Yura Dekoku for a couple decades, and now he has 4 albums as a solo act. Like a Fable is his most recent work. I recommend practically everything he's ever worked on, but this latest album I found to be very enjoyable. Like a Fable has a bit of those psych and funk influences that we've come to expect, and it fuses quite nicely with Sakamoto's spot-on surfy guitar tone. The album is vibrant, fun, and even a little nostalgic. It's a great contemporary take on some older styles of rock, but it finds ways to be refreshing and original. Now, it's looking like we've got more than enough of the groovy pop rock to hold us over for a while, so let's move on to something different. All right, next up we have Homecomings. Homecomings is an indie rock band from Kyoto, and this here is their 5th studio album. New Neighbors was one of last year's most pleasant surprises for me. I couldn't get enough of the songs Lapse and Us. They're a pretty guitar-centric group, so if you're looking for textured, dreamy guitar tones, you'll find that here, accompanied by a punchy and locked-in rhythm section, and Tatami no Ayaka's comfortably warm vocal. I think this is their most refined and accomplished work to date, and it features some of their best and most realized soundscapes, as well as their most robust hooks. I would certainly recommend it. And this is Masana Temples, the 4th album by the now defunct rock band Kikagaku Moyo. What a record. Masana Temples is a colorful fever dream of a psych rock album. It's decidedly softer than some of their older stuff, but that isn't to say it's not endlessly entertaining. They present an impressive collection of bold musical ideas, executed pretty much to perfection. If it isn't too limiting, some might find them comparable to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, with whom they've played shows and festivals with in the past. Masana Temples is vivid, earthy, meticulously crafted, and a hugely entertaining experience. Definitely one I'd check out if you're a fan of the genre. And now, switching gears here, I have a soft spot, putting it lightly, for 80s bubblegum pop, especially if it's Japanese in origin. Babe was a notable, if short-lived, pop duo from Tokyo back in the late 80s. This is their first album, Bravo, and it's packed with hits and songs that should have been hits. I Don't Know, Wagamama wa Osuki, and My Shiny Rain are some songs that I'd consider infectious pop perfection among others. And it also includes a successful cover of Give Me Up by Italian artist Michael Fortunati. The great strength of the two ladies that comprise Babe is that as vocalists, they play off each other extremely well. Tomo-chan has a bolder, more resonant vocal presence, and Yuka-chan has the sweeter cotton candy singing voice. What they achieve as a duo feels incredibly special. Look at this fantastic artwork. It really captures the essence of this album. We now find ourselves in absolute, undisputed Cold Stone classic territory, and what better album to welcome us in than Paraiso, the 1978 album, the classic album by Haruomi Hosono, written in Japanese to say Haraiso, so we've got a nice little play on words there. This is an album he made alongside the Yellow Magic Band, which would eventually become Yellow Magic Orchestra, a legendary group in their own right. Hosono-san is one of the progenitors of Japan's city pop style, and on this record we find him pushing those stylings further than one may have ever expected. He effortlessly blends it with jazz, traditional Japanese folk, electronic, and even a bit of the Western rock and roll that inspired him once upon a time. Paraiso is in many ways like a world unto itself. It's whimsical, it's satirical, exotic, sophisticated, accessible, and complex all at once. It's a work of art that might catch you by surprise at first listen, but its charms will win you over in no time. There is truly no duplicate to this masterpiece of a pop record, and if you only listen to one album on this list, this is the one I would recommend. Yes, the ever-elusive Tatsuro Yamashita is another icon of Japanese city pop whose contribution to the genre could never be overemphasized. Unfortunately, his music is not as easy to come across. His catalog has not been available on streaming as of the recording of this video, and his vinyls are slightly pricier than the average, but at least are readily available for the time being. The man writes some incredible music, but he certainly makes you work for it if you want to listen. This particular album, Pocket Music, I've noticed is one that I often see at a lower price point. Of course, it's still absolute quality and jam-packed with addictive pop music confections. Doyobi no Koibito, or Saturday's Lover in English, is a classic. It's textbook Yamashita, and that's only track 1. Rich melodies, larger-than-life instrumentals, and expert performances are the norm here, and Pocket Music is an entry worthy of the man's legacy. Sunshower. Legendary singer-songwriter Taeko Onuki is quite the notable figure in city pop lore. She has many fantastic albums, but 1977's Sunshower may arguably be the most iconic. The purity of Onuki-san's voice is something to behold on its own, but it's also suited perfectly to the striking array of lively percussion, atmospheric keys, and vibrant guitar tones, along with some unexpected brass and woodwind passages. The album is performed to perfection, and it's never afraid to show off a little. It grooves and it bounces, and yet it's a deceptively melancholic work sometimes. Consider the contrast of something funky like Gusuri wo Takusan next to the mystical soundscape of Sargasso Sea, for example. It may also be one of the most initially challenging listens on this list, alongside Paraiso maybe, but give it a shot, I'm sure you'll dig it. And on a personal note, I actually purchased this album in Tokyo at Shibuya's Tower Record store, so like I said, that trip it's been documented in a video. We might drop it in the description if you want to check it out. And finally, here's an album by one more mainstay of the interconnected world of city pop. Eiichi Otaki was a member of Happy End alongside Haruomi Hosono, and also produced the group of Sugar Babe, which included Tatsuro Yamashita and Taeko Onuki. I think the common belief is that the preceding album, Along Vacation, is the superior album. And while that's a good argument, definitely a valid one, I think Each Time features my all-time favorite Otaki songs, including Natsu no Paperback and Lakeside Story. This album checks off so many boxes for me. If you're a fan of Phil Spector's wall of sound pop like I am, or the rich textured harmony stacks of Brian Wilson, then you'll find those influences pretty obvious on Each Time. This album has the sweetest melodies, lush and detailed instrumentals, and Otaki's smooth and comforting voice. It's just absolutely delightful. All right, so that's about all I've got for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was useful to you. Maybe you can check out some of those albums, or maybe you're already familiar with them. Either way, let us know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this wonderful music, and maybe we'll have more in the future, I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. We're gonna have more reviews and maybe something closer to this here in the future, so stay tuned, and we'll see you again very soon right here at the Vinyl Brotherhood.